I'm Corinne, and this is my husband Abe, and our son Christopher decided to be camera shy. But he's 8 months old today. I hired a doula we moved to California, and so I was kind of late in finding her. But at about 35 weeks into my pregnancy, she told me about the GentleBirth program, and that there were workshops, and I didn't fully understand what it was, but I went ahead and I thought it was too late, to be honest. I thought it was like, something that I should have worked with through my whole pregnancy, and at this point, what could I really get out of it? And I still went ahead and ordered the box set, and I think it was about a month before my due date that I got the package in the mail. Without a doubt, the affirmations were what I went to every day, even if and I actually had a lot of time. I had a lot of time by myself at home while my husband was at work in that last month. And I would lay down sometimes for 10 minutes, sometimes for 30 minutes, sometimes for 2 hours, sometimes I would fall asleep.
Go to the coffee shop and take it with you.
I had a challenging pregnancy. My father died when I was 17 weeks, and I had a very bad, I was hospitalized a couple times early pregnancy, and then we got the news of the relocation, and so I moved away from the rest of my friends and family, and I felt completely isolated in a new city, in a home that wasn't even our home. It was corporate housing, so none of the furniture was mine. I had nothing.
Had to find a new doctor,
yeah.
A new hospital.
It was at a point in my life where I was very...
well, we had a plan, and now that plan was out the window.
Exactly, yeah. And so I was really searching for something. I didn't know what it was. And when I got the GentleBirth program and started the affirmations, I was able to make that I was just devoted to it. I just dove in head first, and
You embraced it.
I did.
Yeah, and I witnessed a confidence in her that was lacking, right? Obviously, it was a lot harder for her than it was for me to move, but seeing her devotion to the program and just listen to it, I saw a confidence in her. I gave her a plan, and the way it happened and how it happened, probably was a big part of it was that program.
For sure. Yeah. So it did change for me in the last month. The affirmations did. It changed my mindset. It changed my level of anxiety. I went from a place where I had no idea what I was doing to it doesn't matter because I have control over this.
What did you always say? Something, my body was meant for...
What?
There were
a lot of them.
What, the one that you always said, I'm in control of my body, or something like that?
Oh, calm, confident, and that's like the in control. That's the main one. Yeah. Calm, confident, and in control. Yes, I would say it too.
Yeah,
I would say it. It's just not even. I mean, before I went into labor, I was.
Mm-hmm.
In that month, I was calm, confident, and in control, and that was the most important thing. So. He went to work. Mm-hmm. He had started driving, even though he was taking the Caltrain. We have one car, and he was leaving the car with me, and I, could run errands and go to doctor's appointments and whatnot. I was 5 days over. Oh yeah, 40 weeks and 5 days, and he had started driving just so that he wasn't at the mercy of a train schedule. And so I didn't have a car, and why was that an issue? That wasn't really an issue.
It was because you had to call a cab to take you to the
hospital. Yeah, that's what. So I had a little bit of concern, just with some bleeding. I didn't think that I was in labor yet, so I was a little concerned, and I called my doctor, and she said to go in just to make sure the baby was fine, and I didn't have a car. That's right, and I had to call a cab. And once I was at the hospital, they determined that he was fine, but that I was in labor. And they wanted me to stay. And I said, no, please let me go home. I don't want to, you know, I really wanted to be at home for the majority. I knew I wanted to give birth in the hospital, but I did not want to stay there. So I called, I had kept him updated, and he came and got me from the hospital, and that was at 5 p.m. And we didn't go back to the hospital until 1 a.m. So it was a nice chunk of time. I'm so grateful that we got to go home. He started timing the surges, and Alicia got there a couple hours later. And really, you know, the affirmations were going the whole time.
Yeah, we had it on nonstop.
Yeah. I was with my doula. And
your water broke at 10:30.
At 11.
At 11.
At 11, yes.
Really
what happened, what I want to say is, I didn't plan this, and I didn't do this on purpose, but as soon as the surges were intense and, you know, the pain was real, it's kind of hard to explain. I went into this Zen-like state. I checked out. My eyes were closed. I didn't move much, even though I'd always said, I want to be able to move during labor. I don't want to be strapped to a bed. I didn't move. I maybe went from, you know, the ball to the floor to the bathroom, you know, throughout those however many hours, 7-ish hours. But I really didn't move. With every, you know, the surges were getting stronger. I had my doula with me. At one point, before my water broke, I was laying on the floor, and I was thinking, if I hadn't known what to do during the surges, there would be absolutely no way that we would be here, that I would be at home, and that would be calm. We would be at a hospital with you know, with an epidural. There was at one point I kind of came out, and I was watching myself, and I was like, I don't know. If you fight the surges, then there's no way you can do it. And I didn't know not to fight them, you know, until, I mean, I did because I had this program. But I can just see, you know, people that look at me and say, how is that possible? How could you do it without an epidural? And it's because I had the understanding of.
Right. We had the doula and you had the program, and you kind of were, you're just so well prepared. She was just, it's like, you know, she took a test and she wasn't nervous because she had studied her butt off, you know.
Well,
it's when you don't study and you're like freaking out and you're, you know, nervous and that wreck, and she was just calm, cool, and collected. And I was there, and it was just like, it was just so surreal. And
but literally with every surge, I had to tell myself, melt like, I mean, my body was trying to tense up, melt like butter, melt like butter, melt like, and if I didn't know to do that, there's no way I would have made it.
And then your sister came.
Every single time, melt like butter.
And then Corinne and Caitlin showed up, and then we went to the hospital at 1:30, and you couldn't even stand sitting down. And then all the nurses were so surprised because she was a first-time mom, and like, oh, this is gonna take a while. And then one of what's her name, Kathy, came to check on you. And you were ready. Francine. And then you're like, should we get the doctor? And you're like, yes, I am ready to deliver this baby. And 3 pushes later, he was born. Yeah.
It was the only word I said, actually, through my whole labor. Yeah. I think maybe I said three things. And the final thing that I said was, I'm ready to push this baby out.
Yeah, and it literally was 3 pushes later.
My eyes were still closed. I didn't know who was in the room. I'm ready to push this baby out. All the
nursing staff and the doctors were so surprised because this is not what they expected from a first-time mom. You know, like, oh, you've done this before. Nope. You know. Yeah, we got there at 1:30. At 3:33, our son was born, and she was just so collected and just in the zone. Oh, I guess I was preparing myself when we were in Seattle that, you know, I had some idea what we were going to do, and my mom is very old-fashioned, and she, you know, didn't use any drugs, and so I was hoping that Corinne would be the same way. And but then when we got here and everything was just out the window, I didn't know what to expect. But then, like, I started to notice a change. Our doula was amazing. The program really gave her confidence. And like Corinne said, she, you know, she had lost her dad. We hadn't moved, and she was very nervous, very anxious, but she was just a total pro. And so, like, I leaned on her so I wouldn't lose it, because I was, you know, pretty nervous too. You know, my wife is in pain, and, you know, all the things that could go wrong didn't go wrong, but she was so confident and calm that it helped ease my doubts. And then when the baby was born, I mean, obviously it was one of the best days of my life, and it was just like, made it seem so easy. Oh, I definitely would, because you know, the dad, you know, you want to give your wife all the tools and all, you know, all that needed for her to succeed, because it is your child that comes out, and it's not just the birth, it's your wife's state of mind and her emotions as well. So I think, you know, it's just being able to scratch things off, you know, less things to worry about, and have it just be about the birth of your child. I definitely would recommend it.
They, like I said, I mean, they just can't believe how is it possible? Like, you must be crazy. And I can see how without these tools, I don't think that I would have been able to do it. So I try to, it's hard because every birth is special, and every birth is unique, and you know, there's always circumstances that you can't control, and it doesn't make your birth any, you know, it's hard for me because I get so jazzed about it. I don't want it to come across as my birth was so great, all these, you know, I did so well, I didn't take an epidural, and you know, so I try to talk about it in a way that,
but you know, but when you explain the whole story and what we went through,
what I always say is, if you don't seek out the options, then you're going to get the options that are not accustomed to you. They're just standard for I mean, if you have a hospital birth. But if you seek out, you know, your options, there are a lot of things you can control, and you may not think that you can control them. And if it's important to you to have that control, then I'd love to tell you what I know about it, is kind of what I say. And I told my best friend, she's in Seattle, and I was actually at the birth of her daughter, and we didn't know about this program or anything like that, but she had wanted a gentle birth without knowing what gentle birth was, and it didn't go as smoothly and it was still perfect, and it was still beautiful, and her daughter is 2 years old now, and she's wonderful. But after I delivered, I told her about it, and she said, that's what I was looking for, you know, and we didn't know. I didn't know, and you know, this was a couple of years ago. That's what I was looking for, and you'll have to give me those discs when I get pregnant again. I was like, absolutely. Absolutely. I do.
I haven't really thought about it.
You haven't? I do. I mean, he's my little healer. I mean, he's my aunt called me, my dad's sister called me a couple of days after he was born, and she said, how was the birth for you? And I said, it was really healing. And she said, that's such a bizarre way to talk about birth, but I think it was healing for the whole family. And I'm not, you know, I didn't really have a idea of what kind of, well, I guess I had an idea of what kind of parent I wanted to be, but I don't know. I've done a lot of things differently than how I imagined, and I think that it definitely has to do. Part of it has to do with just, I don't know. I can't articulate in a good way. Just yes. The answer to the question is yes. His experience was healing, and it affects how I'm raising him. He's my gentle baby. He's my GentleBirth baby, and I'm doing things that I didn't think I would do, in terms of his care. And I thought I would have a crib for him in the other room. I thought, he's just, he's my little, my gentle baby. He's been with me. He's been with me.
Well said.
I say do it, and if it turns out it's not for you, then it's not for you. That's what my doula said to me. It doesn't mean that you have to, be complete, dive into it the way that I did. It worked for me. But even if you just take something from it, I think it's worth it, and it's a tool to have in your tool belt, and you have no idea what's going to happen. You can't control what's going to happen, and the more tools you have, the better for whatever outcome you get, and even if you end up, having a C-section, then you're prepared for that. You end up, getting an epidural or not being, it doesn't matter what kind of birth you end up having. You don't have to have a birth like I did. It still applies to you and to your mental state, and I don't know. I can't say enough good about it.
I saw what it did to my wife, and so, from all of a sudden throwing the original game plan out the window to then having what I would say the perfect delivery. I mean, I'd definitely give it a go and see if it is for you. But I highly recommend it.
I would tell them that, trust your body. Your body knows what it's doing. Trust your baby. That's affirmation. I trust my body. I trust my baby. And however your baby decides to come, just trust him or her. And let the baby decide what that way is, and give him or her a chance to do it the way that they want to.
I think that's what really did, because we have freaked out in the past for other things and went through a lot, and to see you transform yourself to like this person that I knew you were capable of, but it was just amazing.
Just your baby, just your body. You can do it. Trust your partner. Is there one more thing I wanted to say? At the very end, well, you kind of took off with my birth story, but I did want to add one detail, is that once the doctor got to me, which was only about 10 minutes before Christopher was born, she said that there was meconium in the fluid,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, my eyes were closed, and I was, breathing and just focused. But I remember, I got that information. I could hear it, and I made the decision, like you just said, I can either tense up and worry about this, and continue breathing, let him come, and just trust that, if there's a problem, that I have the support that I need. And me getting anxious and nervous and upset and worked up is not going to change. Well, probably would change things, would make things much harder at that kind of critical time when he was ready to come. So, yeah. I was shocked. I couldn't, I was shocked.
Surprised everyone.
I surprised mostly myself, though.
Uh-huh.
I'm such a worrier. It's just such a worrier. And I was like I'd given birth 100 times. I was like, I was like, I got it. I got it, guys. I got it. I'm okay. It was hard. You know, it was still hard, but it was doable. The nurse was shocked. Mm-hmm. She thought I would be like 5-6 centimeters, and
she was like, I'm gonna go grab a coffee and I'll come back.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna have this baby. Okay.